Well, hello, everyone. I am Mathias. I'm the Director of Business Development for NAFI, and joining me today are Radtke and John Zimmerman from Sportys. Eric serves as the President and Chief Instructor for Sportys Academy, and John serves as Vice President for Sportys Pilot Shop. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mac. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you could join us today. So, Sportys, you obviously operate a pretty sizable flight school, and you're very much in the business of providing products and technologies to flight instructors. So, in this environment, a lot of instructors have a lot of time to either think about the way they're doing things, to evaluate new technologies, new products, and really to kind of take stock of their approach. So tell us a little bit about at Sportys what you've been up to lately in the last couple of months and how you're addressing the challenges that the pandemic has brought us.
Well, thanks, Matt. And gosh, how drastically different, are we today and even last month than we were just 2 months ago. I don't think that anyone could have seen, what was coming and how it has affected the flight training industry. So let me take a moment and speaking to the flight educator community, that at Sportys, here at our headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, Claremont County Airport, we live and breathe aviation training. This is what we do. We get to come to an airport each and every day. Sportys is well known for, of course, all your pilot supplies, educational content. I think what we're probably a little lesser known for is the fact that we do have an on-site flight school, a very active flight training academy, a large staff of instructors, a fleet of aircraft. So we understand your plight as educators. We have been dormant. We have been grounded for an extended period of time. So we really have kind of a firm understanding of how it has affected the community. So, perhaps there's some strength we can all find in that collective effort to kind of resume. The forces are what they are. One word of advice I might give is let's not fight the forces, but let's accept what's reality and let's kind of use them to our advantage. Big shout out to all of you that flight instructors wear many hats. Inevitably, there's some people listening. There's members of NAFI that are also frontline workers in this battle against COVID-19. So thank you for all that you do. Hopefully, all the instructors out there that have been affected, and we've all been affected in a variety of ways, in different ways. It's been very regionalized, but hopefully you're taking advantage of any of the relief opportunities that have been made available by governmental sources. And the good news, okay, so to focus a little bit on the positive, what we can offer from Sportys is that, we have the data, we have the information based on those participating in training opportunities with us. We know that there's a lot of demand built up. We know that there are a lot of pilots eager to get back to the flight deck. We know there are a lot of pilots that have endorsements and are ready to take written examinations, and they're going to need to get back to the flight deck. They're going to need flight instructors to help see them through. So I would encourage, if you haven't already, for the flight instructors to start thinking about what steps they need to take from a pre-flight perspective to get back thinking about what it's going to be like in the kind of new world of taking on, flight training customers. Some things have changed, right? We have some new regulatory guidance, some relief for expirations, medical knowledge tests, that type of thing, flight instructor certificates. So there's some of that information that you may need to get up to speed on. Students, clients are going to be seeking guidance from you. There's going to be new pre-flight considerations. FAA recently announced that there's going to be a widespread reduction in ATC hours. So there's new pre-flight considerations. What's open, what's not? What are local restrictions like? How long have fuel supplies been sitting stagnant? So there are a lot of those elements that are going to be brand new that we're going to have to be thoughtful about. And we need to think about some rust, not only ourselves, right? Because many of us have been out of the flight deck for some considerable time, but there's going to be no student that you're working with, no client, or is going to return at the same level of proficiency they were when they perhaps went dormant. So we're going to have to think about that as well. John?
Yeah, it's certainly unprecedented. That word's maybe overused, but it's true. I do know that aviation is adaptable, flexible. Aviation has reacted to crises in the past, so I'm confident that we'll get through it. And certainly that's our mentality at Sportys, is do everything we can to support the community out there. That's what we're about at Sportys. You know, I mean, you know, Matt, we're a bunch of pilots and flight instructors who love to fly and have a business around that, and it's not the other way around. So we love this industry, and we want to do everything we can to help it come through this as best it can. And as dark as it seems sometimes right now, I do think there's some room for optimism that things will come back. There's a need and a desire to fly. There's a need and a desire to have pilots join in this industry. So we're really working hard as best we can to support the industry and really make some investments right now that hopefully the industry comes out of this ready to go whenever, you know, normal or some sort of normal comes back. We hopefully will be there to support it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I know in some other research I've been doing that that the attractiveness of being able to travel with your close friends or family outside of the commercial airline system is hopefully going to be something that's pretty attractive for a lot of people. So yeah, we're hoping for a rebound, and I'm glad to hear what you're sharing about that pent-up demand. Looking forward to seeing that come back. During this time, and obviously things are very different around the country, so some of us are going to be able to get back flying sooner than others. For those of us who are still, for a variety of reasons, unable to fly for a season, what what are maybe you doing with your instructors, or some other products and services and training materials you guys have that you would recommend that especially at-home instructors be looking at right now, and either for their own personal proficiency or perhaps as tools to use with their students?
Sure. So staying connected, first and foremost, is very important. As I alluded to before, if there's an opportunity as an instructor for you to get actually up in an aircraft, perhaps with another instructor, before you're actually providing dual instruction, we think that is certainly wise. That extra level of caution, maybe some different personal minimums when it comes to dispatching those first few training flights until you kind of get in the groove. But in terms of staying connected, a lot of great resources that we've been working on at Sportys that instructors have access to. Number one, a big one that we just announced in the last couple of weeks is we are offering now our online flight instructor refresher course, our eFERC, absolutely free to flight instructors. Just kind of a small way, again, as John mentioned, that Sportys can help support this community that's been hit really, really hard. I mean, we, again, have instructors on staff that have been without income for an extended period of time. And this is just one really small way where we can perhaps lessen the burden of instructors staying active and current. So the FERC, of course, while it can be used to renew your flight instructor certificate, it's also a proficiency tool. So even if you're not due for a CFI renewal, you can certainly take advantage. Why not? It's free. It's as simple as getting online and signing up for an account, sportys.com/CFI. That's a host of offerings for flight instructors, again, all within that theme of staying connected. So that's certainly one tool, mobile friendly, cloud-based. And again, if you are due for a renewal, you can also take advantage of the option to renew based on the grad certificate, or we can even do your paperless renewal. There's a small nominal fee associated with that, but we can take care of that as well. Another resource I would point pilots to, instructors, is Sporty's pilot training app. This platform is relatively new, but what we did, we took on the exercise of creating a platform that's accessible for iOS devices, Apple devices, Android devices, Roku TV, online, of course, and it has Sporty's entire library of training content conveniently available in this one resource. So you can browse educational offerings. There's some free resources available. There's some paid resources, of course. And a few new course offerings that you could consider. One is maybe more directed towards potential clients, new students. We did recently launch an absolutely free Get Started Learning to Fly course, which is a series of these introductory videos. So while for the last 30 to 60 days, pilots couldn't come out to the airport and take a discovery flight, this is a way to do that virtually. And also learn about the process of learning to fly. And we give customers access to a helpful text-based student pilot resource guide to get the real facts, so they're kind of informed consumers when they make it to the flight school for the first time. We also recently launched a commercial pilot training course. We've had private pilot instrument rating offerings around for a long time. Now we have a commercial pilot training course available. Those of you thinking about CFII, our instrument rating course works for that.
The commercial rating is what I'm starting on, yeah.
In terms of broadening your horizons there, and just building up more experience and adding tools to that toolbox, there's a great aerobatics program from Patty Wagstaff that's available in that pilot training app. So take a look. A lot of great resources there. And we've been really busy delivering a lot of free online webinars, number of topics, everything from Garmin to handheld radios to everything iPad related, and some specific to the CFI. We archive all those, make them available to you on Sporty's YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of great resources, as you know, and as most instructors know. The problem is not resources, it's finding the right one. So we try hard to sort of consolidate those. As Eric said, that pilot training app is a great place to go. That I kind of jokingly call it Netflix for pilots. And I don't know about you, Matt, but my kids during this kind of quarantine period, they try to make sure they do something a little educational and not just binge watch YouTube. So, they watch like the zoo broadcasts every day. So maybe for pilots, same kind of thing. Maybe put aside one of those Netflix binge sessions and spend some time in the pilot training app or whatever training there is. And I think, flying, as we all know, especially past the primary stage, is very much a mental thing as much as it's physical. So keeping your head in the game, continuing to think about these topics, whether it's instrument proficiency or the latest technology, I really think that does have big payoff. There's no substitute for being in the airplane and flying, but I think a little time invested now with some of those online resources, and as Eric mentioned, some of them are free. That's just a smart investment now, so that hopefully your first flight, whenever that comes and you're back in the cockpit, hopefully it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, I know for me, my son was going to start ground school a couple of months ago, so I'll definitely be pointing him towards some of those materials. And I've been using the time to get sharper on some of the navigators and avionics systems as well, and finding things and strategies of doing things that I hadn't really thought through before. Because over the course of getting my instrument rating, a lot changed from the initial ADF approaches I flew to GPS now. So yeah. Anything else you can think of that would be helpful for instructors to be taking a look at while they're at home, either for themselves or their students?
One thing we've seen a real increase in interest in is flight simulators, which is not surprising. If you're at home and you can't fly, maybe you can do sort of a substitute and do some flying with the simulator. And there's fortunately probably never been better options there. There's some really good software. X-Plane 11 is a great tool that's out there now. There's rumors about a new Microsoft flight simulator coming later this year. There's some great controls out there. A new yoke from Honeycomb. It's got a nice solid stainless steel shaft, has a much more realistic feel to it. So there's some good options in the flight sim arena. And this is not like being in a level D simulator, obviously. This is not like being in the airplane. But if you approach it the correct way, and if you have a plan for using a home simulator, we're not just going to go do loops and rolls. We're going to actually try to achieve some goals here. I do think a flight simulator is a smart investment right now if you do it the right way. It doesn't have to be crazy. A basic yoke and rudder pedal combo with some software for less than $100, and you can have a very valuable home simulator setup. And so that's something I know we've seen a lot of interest in. Been talking to a lot of pilots about who maybe had been thinking about that, but weren't quite sure of whether to get started. And now it seems like a much better idea. So I'd put that on your radar as well.
Okay, very good, very good. So changing gears a little bit. Obviously, we're all very disappointed that AirVenture is not going to happen this year. Although the right call, we believe. So a lot of us in the aviation community aren't going to get as exposed to some of the newer products and technologies that that we normally like to go shop around and try out when we're at AirVenture. At least that's one of the fun parts for me in going to AirVenture. So in the past year or maybe even coming up, what are some new products or technologies that we should be aware of, or maybe taking a closer look at as much as we can to maybe add into our flying?
Yeah, I think one is that flight simulator category I just mentioned. There's some new things that have just come out there, and there's more new coming, especially if the new Microsoft Flight Simulator hits as expected this year. I know that was the entry for a lot of people into flying, was flying out of Meigs Airport on Microsoft Flight Simulator, whatever version you grew up with. That's definitely one to watch. There's new controls there. There's new software coming. I think there's some interesting things there. Also, still everything iPad related. I know for me, I think for a lot of instructors, the iPad or tablets in general really is your kind of constant companion, whether it's on the ground ahead of time, studying, planning a flight, in the cockpit, using it for charts or note taking. That for me is an essential part of my flight bag. That is my flight bag in many ways. So we continue to develop new things for that. Basic but important things like battery packs and cigarette lighter chargers and charging cables that really work in the airplane and aren't just the cheapest one you found at the hardware store that interfere with radios. I've lost track of how many of those I've gone through. So we're working on a lot of things like that, battery packs and charging equipment for them, new keyboards and mounts to keep them safe in the cockpit. So that continues to be, the iPad's 10 years old now. We sometimes talk about it as if it's new, but it's just a fact of life for most pilots. Many student pilots that NAFI members deal with have not known an aviation world without it. But we still think that's important to keep developing new ideas there that make them reliable and safe and useful in the cockpit. So we'll continue to do a lot there. And then Eric and his team on the education side, I think there's a lot planned there as we continue to make huge investments in how we deliver training materials.
Yeah, and Matt, I would echo that. The right call, devastating for all of us in the aviation community. No sun and fun, no AirVenture Oshkosh. A time when all of us pilots love to come together in the interest of camaraderie, the aviation community, and it's a chance for us to put our hands on things, right? Touch the handheld radio, try on the headset, of course, and we're missing those things. So we can't recreate that. We can't replace AirVenture, but we can certainly try to do a lot of things from the Sportys perspective, and we are to help pilots get better acquainted with a variety of products. So, John and his team, I know, have worked a lot and ramped up delivering what we refer to as our PIREP videos, or PIREP videos, as well as this series of touch and go videos. And it's designed to do exactly what you had hoped maybe to do at AirVenture. Instead of getting able to pick up that new radio or trying on that new headset, see and hear from a pilot, right, which is us, seeing and using and interacting and see how to use the most popular features. Now everyone has their different preferences and leanings, so we created a lot of these video resources available at Sportys.com, Sportys YouTube channel. Again, it doesn't replace AirVenture or Sun and Fun, but it would certainly help you get a lot better acquainted, especially with the new product offerings. And when you call us, you can talk to a pilot. We're open to ideas. If there's a great new product that you would like to learn a little bit more about, or you'd like to see in action, let us know. We'd be happy to get something created or talk to you one-on-one.
Great. And finally, I think I'd be remiss in this time if I didn't ask, what about personal health and safety in the cockpit? What sorts of things are you recommending to your instructors, whether it be masks that you found particularly useful, cleaning supplies, any other health and safety equipment or products that you're using or that you would recommend our instructors take a look at?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, you should listen to what the community is saying. You should observe any state guidance and guidelines that have been put into place. And again, that can be very different state to state, region to region. Here at our flight school in Ohio, we are requiring the use of masks. And I know that a lot of schools across the country have kind of adopted that as standard practice when you're not able, anytime you're not able to maintain the customary 6 feet that we're all getting used to. So we are requiring that. We've tested a variety. Certainly we believe the cloth material works a lot better. We've not found any what we would say additional added safety risks associated with the use of mass. Communication has been fine. People have been
any ones that don't fog glasses. That's been my challenge.
Fogging the glasses, it's important to get a tight seal around the nose. So a little piece of pipe cleaner or something like that, anything to pinch that off, that can certainly help. I've experienced that myself. I think we all have as pilots. Cleaning, disinfecting, just a heightened sense of personal hygiene, that's going to be with us for a while. So, here we are cleaning, disinfecting aircraft between each learning activity, being cautious about what you apply to avionics. That's the big one. Most of the manufacturers have published information out there about what you can use, what you can't use. Certainly we have a lot of great supplies, cleaning resources here at Sportys to help with that. But that's, you bring up a great point. These are all new things as instructors we'll have to be thinking about that will probably be with us for the foreseeable future.
I think, Matt, one thing that gives me some cheer here a little bit, I mean, as pilots, we are all used to making these risk assessments. That's what we do, right? We make an analysis of the weather and the airplane and the terrain and all the different features that go into a flight. And then we think about the risk involved, the trade-offs, how we can mitigate that risk. And really, this is the same thing. This is just another part of that go, no-go decision now, is hopefully we've always been thinking about us as pilots and whether we're safe for the flight. Now it takes on some added importance. Maybe there's some extra questions to ask. But when, to me, at least the way I think about it, it's the same checklist. Is the pilot ready, equipped, and safe for this flight? Is the airplane ready, equipped, and safe for this flight? Those have always been valid, and now it's just even more valid because we've got to think a little bit harder about, well, what does safe mean? Do I really feel good? Do I really know I'm safe? Has the aircraft been cleaned? Do I have that equipment, maybe a mask that is a new part of my flight bag? So I think a lot of our habits as risk managers, if you want to call it that, still apply here. It's just maybe a couple extra items on the checklist.
Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today on Aero Brief. Any final thoughts or things you'd like to share with the instructor community before we wrap up?
One additional thought I'd leave you with is, if you haven't already, take good inventory of where your business is out, talk to your customers, get a good feel for what the community is telling you. It doesn't do a lot of good to be open if there aren't customers there. This is a time when we all may have to get creative about getting customers re-engaged, recruiting potentially some new business, and just having general awareness. And another thing I would add, this is part of that whole pre-flight regiment, but this whole crisis that we're in is taking a unique toll physically, emotionally. So don't leave that part out of taking inventory of your emotional well-being. What we do, of course, requires the utmost focus and attention, and you need to be ready for that. And that's something I think, that would be helpful and smart for us to share with our clients as well.
Stay safe and hope to see you all in the sky soon. It's certainly, it's not going to be the same summer without Oshkosh, but hopefully we get some flying adventures this summer in one way or another.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Well, thank you for the wisdom, for the insights, and obviously stay safe, stay healthy, and we appreciate your leadership and your contributions to the community.